been a year since Digimon Survive released after a long, quiet development and pre-release cycle. The last time I really talked about this game on this channel was my first impressions after I played the first 10 hours, where I said it was exceeding my expectations, but after that I went dark and never published a follow-up video after beating Survive. Now that we've hit the 1-year anniversary mark, I'd say it's about time I lay it all out, give my honest review and reflections on Digimon Survive. So off the bat, why did I not post a follow-up video on Digimon Survive after beating it last summer? Did I secretly hate it and fear backlash from Survive fans? Did I quit halfway? It's none of those things. I did beat Digimon Survive twice over, and the truth is, I enjoyed Digimon Survive so much that after years of sharing my opinions on Digimon Adventure 2020 and Ghost Game publicly, I kind of like the idea of having one modern Digimon project that was just for me, something I didn't need to turn into content and talk about. I haven't played every Digimon game ever released, but personally, Digimon Survive is my favorite Digimon video game and quite possibly my third or fourth favorite Digimon story across anime, games, the movies. That's kind of a big statement, obviously, and it's incredibly subjective. Survive was overwhelmingly a visual novel with some tactics gameplay segments. If you're a big fan of the monster raising games, then of course your favorite Digimon game is probably one of the world titles, and if you're a big JRPG fan, one of the Cyber Sleuths is probably your favorite. Fortunately for me, I enjoy visual novels, tactics games, and I highly value story in the games I play, so what Survive ended up being was perfect for me. Survive's story was very much a nod to Digimon Adventure, with a band of kids becoming lost on a summer trip and spirited away to an unknown world they can't understand. Most of the kids fit the character archetypes of the 1999 Adventure cast, except they were bumped up in age a few years, and this seems to have given the story writers some slack to get real dark with this game. Having it so that most of the cast members could be killed off depending on your choices, you felt the weight and the necessity of finding a way back home, because day after day you are potentially losing friends in really dark and graphic death scenes. Some of these character deaths were forced on you for your first playthrough of the game, and this could lead to some confusion over what you did wrong, googling whether character X could be saved. But upon completing your first run through of the story, New Game Plus opens up, which in addition to giving a ton more context and world building in the third act of the story, it also gave you the ability to save characters who died in your first playthrough. I found my second playthrough to be incredibly rewarding when I was able to save characters who had their stories cut short, now getting to see them grow, work through their issues, become the best version of themselves, which in turn let their Digimon partners evolve into new forms that weren't accessible on the first playthrough. Speaking of evolutions, I was so thrilled with the way that Survive handled this, making each monster evolution feel like an event. The Digimon anime has always used Digivolution as a metaphor or visualization of the human character's growth. They accept something about themselves, devote themselves to a cause, determine who they want to be, etc., and then their tiny monster friends grow into something much more powerful and inspiring. Past games, be they Digimon games or even the mainline Pokemon RPGs, don't give you those emotional beats in evolution. You hit a certain level in Digimon Cyber Sleuth, then you bring your monster to the Digilab, go through a menu and click the big button that says you've qualified for Digivolution. In Survive, on the other hand, it would be the end of a long day of adventuring, the sun is setting, the entire team is down and out, facing off against a huge enemy, but the human character has discovered a reason to live, often through the help of their Digimon partner who doubles as a guardian angel. Then through their combined dedication to a cause and to each other, they achieve something great in the form of Digivolution. Also, like the old anime from our childhoods, you never knew what monster form was coming next with evolution. Survive was pretty smart and protective in their marketing, so that prior to the game's launch, we had no clue what the other kids' Digimon would evolve into besides Takuma's Agumon. Even watching Ghost Game last year and having access to the internet, I knew what evolutions were coming months before they premiered in the anime. Here though, when Minoru's Falcomon or Saki's Floramon was going to evolve, I would basically jump out of my seat and watch in awe as the evolution sequence played out. Sometimes I was amazed, sometimes I laughed out loud at the choices, but I always felt a sense of wonder that I don't remember feeling since watching Digimon anime on Saturday mornings in the early 2000s. The tactics gameplay admittedly began to show its cracks the longer it went on, especially in my second playthrough. I wish there was more thoughtful scenario design for the various tactics battles, but it seems to me that where most of the attention and passion went was into the story. Easily my favorite thing about Survive. For a franchise that's over 20 years old, it's important that Digimon change things up now and then. Different writers and creative directors bring different ideas and interpretations of the source material for every project, and I like that, but in particular, I've really adored Habu and team's take on Digimon and Kemonogami ever since I first heard his position. Generally, Digimon writers seem to take one of two routes. Either humans created Digimon to some extent during the advent of the digital era, or Digimon and their parallel world, the digital world, have existed for much longer and humans only recently discovered them. Habu prefers the latter Digimon origin story and sees Digimon as modern versions of Japanese yokai, mythical creatures beyond our understanding that humans have occasionally made contact with and crossed over with in ways that can't be explained. We didn't create Digimon, but in recent times, through advancements advancements in technology, we accidentally stumbled into the means to see and interact with them. Survive was a story about modernity and tradition, what we lose when we abandon tradition. For 99% of the game, nobody calls Agumon and the others Digimon because they don't have that name yet. Survive is essentially a Digimon origin story in its own universe, where the incredibly small amount of people who have witnessed Digimon refer to them as Kemonogami, beast gods in English. The world of the Kemonogami is sustained and powered through humans' belief and reverence in it. The shrine in the woods where the kids get lost at the start of the game used to be a popular place of worship, and this kept the Kemonogami world thriving. But because humans no longer visit the shrine, the world that Takuma and his friends get spirited away to is falling apart. We can't go back in time and pretend all of the scientific advancements of the last several centuries never happened, but in the game, a new way to power and sustain the world of the Kemonogami is discovered through the internet, through rumors, imagination, and belief being spread farther than ever, courtesy of us all being online. There's a chapter in the game where Takuma and Agumon are sent back to the human world, not unlike that part of the story with Tai going home in Adventure 1999. They make the choice that they have to go back to save their friends in the Kemonogami world and make things right, but during this chapter, Takuma and Agumon face off against a Piedmon who followed them into the human world. Some random kids witness this and, importantly, take a blurry photo of the battle and upload it to social media. This has a snowball effect. Rumors and speculation spread about what this picture means, and it begins a new age of curiosity where for the first time in decades, young people are thinking about the shrine, the Kemonogami. The way it all came together in the end, I was thrilled. Quote, stories of that world and the monsters who live there have caught on as urban legend. It kind of feels like the start of a new faith. Nowadays, people's beliefs come in the form of digital information on the internet. Digital data will be the new form of belief that sustains the Kemonogami world. People may even begin to refer to it as the digital world. As I see it, the beings of that world, once regarded as local gods or Kemonogami, will be transformed into digital beings in the internet age. You could call them digital monsters, or Digimon for short. Only in the final few minutes of Digimon Survive, you hear the word Digimon spoken by a character. I thought it was such a fascinating message for the end of the game, this balance of tradition and modernity with curiosity and belief keeping Digimon and their world alive. I could go on and on about Survive, but I don't want to spoil every beat in case you watch this video without playing or finishing it. Not to mention the story revelations that come from your additional playthroughs are really interesting, but I don't want to talk about that even still a year later. It's a shame the game never had any major quality of life updates or expansion. There were issues I constantly faced with the menu navigation, pressing the wrong buttons and getting annoyed, and it's too bad that the PvP multiplayer component that was hinted at much earlier in the development never came to be. There was all this weirdness when the game launched last year where media outlets did not get review copies before launch, often a sign that the publisher isn't confident in their game and doesn't want negative reviews out early because it may kill day one sales momentum. When Survive had no reviews the night before, I was pretty confident the game was going to stink based on how quiet the launch was, but to my surprise, Survive was one of my favorite gaming moments last year and is now my favorite Digimon game of all time. They actually opened themselves up for a possible sequel in one of the multiple endings, and I would love to see this team get a second chance at this Survive format with improved UI, more variety and thoughtfulness in the tactics battles, and the same great quality storytelling. But even if we never get another Survive style game, I'm very happy with what we did get. Digimon Survive is the best Digimon anime season I've ever had the pleasure of playing through. Let me know what you thought about the game by leaving a comment below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we may be able to get to 50k subscribers by the end of 2023. Thanks for watching, have a great week.